Well, hello everybody. So this is always fun for me. I trust it's going to be fun for you. And today it's going to be peppered with hiccups. So we can have some fun with that too today. So I'm ready to get started. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to check in with you to see what I want you to see. Okay. Oh, hey, you know what, Harker? I need permission to share screen. All right, here we go. And hopefully you're seeing a slide that says, thank you for inviting me. Is that what you see? Fantastic. And of course, thank you for inviting me. And so there's my website, paulhasselbeck.com, where you can see where I'm speaking and teaching. I have a podcast, metaphysicalromp2.com, that we produce a 22-minute program every week. And feel free to email me at alberthasselbeck@gmail.com. Also, if you want pictures of my slides, you can pick up your cell phone, you can hit print screen, and I will be sending a PDF and a PowerPoint of this whole slide set to Meg, and I think there's one other person. So if you want to get it from directly from them, you can do that too. I like to share what I produce. And so this year's theme for Unity for the year for Unity World headquarters at Unity Village is how to stay centered no matter what. And of course, it's a monthly theme of the 12 powers. And so I was a student for A Course in Miracles for quite a few years. And this was one of my favorite quotes. Make this year different by making it all the same. Make this year different by making it all the same. And that may be one of those quotes that's a head scratcher that Course in Miracles is famous for. But what this means to me is, until I woke up to some of these magnificent teachings, I felt like every situation demanded a different response or a different reaction, which requires a lot of energy and a lot of focus. And because I was doing it that way, I was doing it more from a surface level, from my interpretation of what's coming into my senses and my pre-existing thoughts, feelings, beliefs, images, feelings, emotions. And I wasn't doing it from a deep level. And so we can make it all the same by remembering our divinity, no matter what the situation is, and making that our starting point. And that's a way we make everything different by making it all the same. And this is a 12 powers talk, so it's related to that. I want to share this quote from the Gospel of Thomas, the second saying, because I may say some things that might be shocking or disturbing, though based on what I ever already heard, you guys are doing a pretty good job there in Santa Rosa. So Thomas reports that Jesus said, let one who seeks not stop seeking until that person finds. And upon finding, the person will be disturbed, and being disturbed will be astounded and will reign over the entirety. That's a profound statement. So what we're going to be doing today to start is we're going to be looking at who and or what God is, who and or what we are, and does God use us as properly understood? So let's begin with who and or what God is. Well, Mother Myrtle had this great quote, and this appears in the first paragraph of chapter 4 of How to Let God Help You. She says, God is it, neither male nor female, but principle. So when Myrtle was talking about God, she was thinking of principle. And similarly, in the revealing word, under the listing for mind, capital M mind or divine mind, Charles says, by the term mind, we mean God, the universal principle, which includes all principles. And I really like this quote because Charles didn't say spiritual principles. He said universal principle. And then he also said, yet there is but one I am. I trust you've heard about the I am. That was basically the response that God gave to Moses at the burning bush. When Moses asked God, what's your name? He said, I am that I am. So there is but one I am. It cannot be cut into parts. It is principle. So you never have a piece of God, a part of God, a spark of God, a wave of God. God is everywhere. God is everywhere, totally present. So then, what does this tell us? God is a what? Because a principle isn't a who. A who. And I'm not channeling Dr. Seuss here or anything, who's and what's and all of that. So the next thing we're going to look at is who and or what are we? I recently found this interesting quote, I think in the last 2 weeks. My thing is I listen to what other teachers and other ministers say about God. I read the published texts of Charles Fillmore, but I also go into the archives to see what wasn't published that are really gems. And this is a gem. You've heard the first because it's a quote from Jesus. Jesus said, you must know the truth and the truth shall set you free. And Charles added the truth about yourself. This is important because we have to realize that we can never exercise dominion or supreme authority until he knows who and what he is. We need to know who and what we are so we stand in our supreme authority. So that's the quote. Man can never exercise dominion, supreme authority until he knows who and what he is. So I'm going to ask you to read with me this affirmation statement based on that quote. I can never exercise supreme authority until I know who and what I am. We could also say, I exercise supreme authority when I know who and what I am. And then in another place in the revealing word, Charles tells us the I am is the metaphysical name of the spiritual self, of my spiritual self, of your spiritual self, as distinguished from the human self. So we are both the divine and human, and that's inseparable. And remember, I just shared with you, yet there is but one I am. It cannot be cut into parts. It is principle. So then doing a little fancy footwork with words based on algebra, well, mind equals God, God equals principle, principle equals I am equals my spiritual self, which means my spiritual self, my divinity equals God, principle, and mind. So that means we are fully human and fully divine. And that's the truth that sets us free. That's the truth we learn about ourselves. And I hope you love that little cartoon there in the lower right-hand corner. You could almost see that happening, right? So we are fully human and fully divine. I never express my full range of my humanity, and I never express my full range of my divinity. We're always on a learning curve. And so we could say we're a who, which is our humanity, and we're a what and our divinity. Now, in our divinity, we are identical. I'll say that again. In our divinity, we are identical. And that's where we're the most authentically one. In our humanity, we are wondrously distinct. And it's such an exciting thing that we are both one and distinct. And so then we get to, well, does God use us? Because that's what we've been taught. That's what I was taught. And, We got songs, Use Me, Oh God, and all the old hymns are all about God using us in some way. But is that true? So here's a wonderful quote again from unpublished works. And I want you to look at this because this is curious. So this was from an unpublished workers' talk and from 1924. So Charles was teaching the workers at Unity on a weekly basis, which I think is just fascinating. But then he says, and then if you can conceive that all that principle that God is right at hand for your use. All principles can be grasped and used by you. That's kind of like a boom. That's like, wow. And the 12 powers, which we're going to get to, are 12 divine ideas or 12 principles. So our dominion, remember, our supreme authority is over our own thoughts, emotions, and passions. I often say thoughts, ideas, beliefs, images, feelings, emotions, experiences, and attitudes. We have supreme authority over those because they are all within what we could call our mind or consciousness. And Charles also said, since we can use all those principles, he says, prayer makes each person a master in the realm of creative or divine ideas, or a master in the realm of divine ideas. So let's get down and look at a couple things about the 12 powers. This is basically an overview. So first of all, what are they and why are they important? So I'm going to start with this by asking you a few questions. I'm going to stop share so I can see some of you. I'm going to ask you these questions. Your job is to put a thumbs up or shake your head or say yes or whatever. Do you notice you have the ability to believe? Do you notice you have the ability to persevere or be strong? Do you notice you have the ability to evaluate, compare, and contrast? Do you notice you have the ability to unify and harmonize and love and desire? Do you notice you have the ability to master and control? Do you notice you have the ability to conceptualize, imagine, and visualize? Do you notice you have the ability to know? Do you notice you have the ability to choose and decide and direct yourself? Do you notice you have the ability to organize and sequence and adjust? Do you notice you have the ability to be passionate, enthusiastic, and I like to say zealicious and zeal vicious? Do you notice you have the ability to release and let go and renounce? And do you finally notice you have the ability to vitalize and energize? Well, if you said yes to all 12 of those, you innately and directly know that you have these 12 abilities. These aren't something that we made up. This is innate to our humanity based on our divinity. In our divinity, those 12 powers are known as divine ideas or principles or powers. In our humanity, we experience them as abilities. And we can use those abilities any way we like, and you will notice that in just a little bit. Okay, so now we're going back, and I want to make sure I got this set up all right. Are you seeing the screen that says important on it? All right, so here we go. So everyone has them, whether they're conscious of them or not. At least the people in the room, you've agreed with that. And so I give other names to them. I think of them as team consciousness. These are a team that I can use. In fact, I'm the coach of my team. So faith is my believer, strength is my stalwart, discernment is my evaluator, love is my desirer, dominion is my sovereign, imagination is my dreamer, understanding is my knower, will is my chooser, order is my adjuster, zeal is my enthusiast, elimination is my bouncer, my favorite name, and life is my vitalizer. All right. And the other thing is, we're always use them. We're always using them, whether we're conscious of them or not. So it's important that we learn to be conscious of them and how to use them in the best way. They don't care how they are used. They don't tell us how to use them. We just use them. They can be overdeveloped or underdeveloped. So example of that would be for the power of order, which is our ability to organize and sequence. If it's underdeveloped, you'll probably have somebody who has a little bit of a messy home. If it's overdeveloped, they might be OCD. Everything has its place and everything has to be exactly in its place. And don't mess with it, because they'll move it right back to where they think it belongs. And of course, there's a sweet spot where everything is balanced. And then they can be used at any level of consciousness. And let me say a little bit more of that so you have an idea. So I like to think in a simple term that we have victim consciousness, that everything seems to be happening to me, the world, whatever. There's victor consciousness, where I realize I have personal power and things are happening by me. There's vessel consciousness, which seems to be things happening through me, particularly God. That's usually what Unity people mean by the Christ in me, that is happening in me. It's using me. And then verity consciousness, it is me. I am principle in my divinity. So let's look at the power of imagination. It's our ability to dream, visualize, conceptualize, and imagine. So in victim consciousness, I imagine everyone's against me, even if everyone isn't. In victor consciousness, I can imagine, I can conceptualize how I can use my personal power in my life to create a better life. In vessel consciousness, I believe that I'm imagining that God is operating through me. I'm visualizing, conceptualizing myself as a vessel or a conduit or an instrument of God. And then verity consciousness, it's me. I'm conceptualizing, I'm visualizing, I'm dreaming, I'm imagining what life is like when I fully grasp that truth about me, when you grasp the truth about you. And that is what you use to set yourself free. And so everyone has them, whether conscious of them or not. Everyone is always using them. They do not care how they're used. They can be overdeveloped or undeveloped. They can be used at any level of consciousness. So this is how we make this year different, by making it all the same. We start remembering, we start with, in the old language, we said, put God first. But what we're really saying is, put our divinity first. And remember, in our divinity, we are exactly identical. And that divinity is right there all the time. And you didn't inherit it from God. You are inherently it. You are innately divine. It wasn't given to you. It can never be taken away from you. And so one thing to remember is no one and or no thing has power over our minds, which means our thoughts, ideas, beliefs, images, feelings, emotions, experiences, and attitudes. And we can always choose and direct ourselves to be peaceful inside, regardless of what is happening outside. And so we use our power of dominion, that's that personal authority, to control and master our 12 powers, our thoughts and feelings. That will keep us at peace. We use our power of love to be peaceful inside, as well as harmonize and unify our lives to peace. And we use our power of faith to believe peace within is established now and is possible. And so we use our power of dominion to control and master our 12 powers, thoughts, and feelings. We use our power of love to desire to be peaceful inside, as well as harmonize and unify our lives to peace. And we use the power of faith to believe that peace is within and it's established now. And that's how we make this year different, by making it all the same. And that is how we ultimately learn how to stay centered no matter what. Remember your divinity, celebrate your humanity, celebrate your humanity, and thank you for listening. And so now we'll have a time of meditation. So I invite you to get comfortable, and I'm going to get comfortable by pushing my arms up here, and so let's do a great big, what they call a physiological sigh. So we take a deep breath and then we sigh. Yes, settle in. And one more time. And as we do that, we remember our divinity and we celebrate our distinct humanity. And we remember that all that principle that is right there where you are, and right here where I am. And that is where we are truly one. That is where we are identical. And so let us focus on that now. As we focus our attention, we pivot our attention from outward to inward. And we begin to feel that presence. Because all the presence that you're experiencing right now is your divinity. For we say God is one power and one presence. Your presence cannot be different or distinct from that one power and one presence. And so let us take a minute or two and simply focus on gently on our divinity and feel the glory of the truth of what you are. And I invite you to take a few deep breaths again. And use that ability, that that ability of your imagination to conceptualize just how it is. You're using your inherent divinity to manifest your humanity, which is basically made up of your consciousness and your body. And just visualize or conceptualize yourself doing that. And so repeat these affirmations after me. I am faith. I believe I'm divine. I am love. I desire to be peaceful, whatever happens. I am dominion. I master peace, and I control anything that's unlike it. I am faith, love, and dominion. And let's say that one more time with enthusiasm and joy and authority. Yes, I am faith, I am love, I am dominion. And so you are, and so I am, and so it is. Amen. And friends, as you go forth, whether you're going on to my workshop, going on to the rest of your day, maybe having a little lunch, go forth remembering to make this year different by making it all the same, by beginning with your divinity so you express your humanity as magnificently as possible. And I see you doing that with oodles of ease and grace.